Making pasta from scratch is so rewarding and there's very little ingredients involved. You just need a little bit of time and love. Now let's start with the pasta dough. You need Tipo 00 flour. It's a mild protein flour and it's super fine, and that's going to give us a soft, silky finish. Into a food processor, 400 grams, and I've weighed that out. And some sea salt. I like to add some olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, about 2 teaspoons. And now for the eggs to bring it together. I'm using 5 eggs and I'll crack them into a bowl first and then whisk them. What I'll be doing is drizzling in this egg mixture so we get a beautiful dough. Now you can do this by hand if you like, mix it all together and start to knead it, or you can simply do it in the food processor. Just makes life so much easier. And we'll whisk that together. Now let's bring this dough together. Now lid on. Just through the chute, we'll start to drizzle in this egg mixture. So on, and then drizzle away. Once it starts to come together, we just want to mix it until it becomes that really silky dough that we were talking about. All right, this is coming together nicely. You can see that there's little clumps, so you know it's going to stick together. I'll take the blade out, and then we'll scoop all of this out onto a clean board. See how it's just a little bit sticky, but not too wet. If it's too wet, it's going to be really hard to get through our pasta machine. Okay, now we need to chill this in the fridge to firm up. So just press it down into a uniform shape, and then I'll wrap it in some Glad wrap so it doesn't dry out in the fridge, and I'll leave it in the fridge for about an hour, then we can start rolling it. The pastry has been in the fridge for 1 hour, so let's start rolling. I have some Tipo 00 flour on standby and some fine semolina. I like to use a combination of both just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the machine and so the sheets don't stick to each other. So we'll unwrap this and always work with small pieces. So I'll cut this dough in half and then into quarters. Now this makes quite a lot of pasta. So the first one, we're going to just press and make into a rough oval shape and flour your hands and the dough. And then you need to get yourself a pasta machine because it just makes life so much easier. This process of feeding the pasta through the machine is called laminating. Ideally working the protein so it sticks together and we get that glorious texture. Now when you've got your pasta machine, you want to start it on number 7. So this is the widest opening and this just gets the pasta going. So once, fold it over, and then we laminate again. Now once you've done this 3 or 4 times, you can start turning the nozzle to get this thinner and thinner as we go. So that's 3 or 4 times. Now onto level 6, and then I'll continue until we get a really fine sheet of pasta. I'll also do it for a few more pieces of dough. Now the pasta's rolled out, have a look how thin it is. It is perfect. If you don't want to use the pasta straight away, all you need to do is put some baking paper between each layer, a little bit of Glad wrap, and then pop it in the fridge. I'm going to get onto this straight away. I'm making ravioli. A very basic filling, some ricotta, a generous handful of Parmesan cheese, a generous pinch of nutmeg, and the zest of half a lemon. Now with a fork, I'll give that a really quick mix. A pinch of salt. And then just another mix. And you want it to be really light and fluffy, so it almost resembles clouds. Now let's make the ravioli. 2 spoons. And you can make them little ravioli, you can make them big ones. I'm going to go all out and make large ones. So I'm placing the ricotta filling on the top end because what I'll do is fold the pasta dough over. So let's make a few of these along the line. And leave about 4 centimetres between each bundle of ricotta because we do need to cut them and they all need to have edges. Now we need to stick the pasta to itself, so a small amount of water, you can use a bit of egg if you like, and then water between each bundle of ricotta. Now onto the other side. And now we're going to fold this in half and cover our filling. Now using your hands, you want to cup around the ricotta to take away any air bubbles. So just squish it, press it down to glue it together. So doing one individual at a time, pressing around it to ensure there's no air bubbles. If there are air bubbles, then the water will get into them and then they might split. So this is a really important part. All right, I'm going to continue making these and then I'm going to show you a super quick sauce to go with this. Now that our pasta is ready, doesn't it look fantastic? Little bundles of joy right there. Now before we start cooking them, let's make a very quick butter and sage sauce with hazelnuts and prosciutto. Into a pan, medium heat, I'll add some butter and let it sizzle away. I'll add just a small amount of olive oil. This just stops the butter from burning. So half a teaspoon of oil is all you need. Now once that starts to really sizzle and foam up, that's when I'll add the sage. So I'll pick off a few of the leaves. It's got quite a strong flavour, so you don't need too much. I'll add around 6 to 7 leaves and I'll just break them up and we'll add that at the last minute. Now, because this is fresh pasta, it takes no time at all to cook. It's not like dried pasta. You don't want rapidly boiling water. You still need to salt the water, but just gentle bubbles. So just gently lower it into the hot water. And these will take around 5 to 6 minutes to cook. A good indication of when they're cooked is when they start to come up to the surface, just like a little dumpling. Now this butter has stopped sizzling. This is a key indication that it's starting to turn into beurre noisette, which translates to hazelnut butter. It really has that gorgeous nutty flavour to it. So I've turned the heat off and we can add our gorgeous sage leaves. It'll start to sizzle and our hazelnuts. I'll add a handful and we'll add the rest to the garnish. And now instead of frying the prosciutto, I'm going to have the prosciutto as the base to this dish. Just a nice thin slice. I'll just unwrap that. Look at that, perfectly marbled. And we'll just drape that onto the plate. You know what? I'm going to add one more piece because I love my prosciutto. Now for the ravioli. They've come to the surface. We'll turn the heat off and just using a spider or a slotted spoon, drain them and then put it straight into the beurre noisette. Now we want to gently toss it and coat each pillow of ravioli in that golden butter. That looks so good. Last little touch, a small drizzle of fresh lemon juice. Now to plate this up. These are quite large, so you probably need about 3 or 4 of these gorgeous pillows on top of the prosciutto. It'll start to warm the prosciutto up, which is what I want it to do. And then some sage, hazelnuts, and a generous drizzle of the gorgeous butter. Final touches, a sprinkling of hazelnuts. Texture is so great with this. And that is my homemade pasta transformed into ravioli, burnt butter, sage, prosciutto. This is so elegant, and I tell you what, you and your guest will appreciate this so much more because you made it all by yourself.